Hello friends, my name is Bingying and I'm a watercolor artist living in Tokyo. I'm so excited that the dreamy cherry blossom season is finally here. So today I'll show you my top 5 favorite spots for sketching cherry blossoms or sakura in Tokyo. And along the way, I'll also share my best tips for capturing the magic of the season, from simplifying complex scenes to how I work with a limited palette to bring out those vibrant spring colors. Number 1. Yutenji Temple. Sakura season can be a bit hectic in Tokyo, with so many tourists flooding in from all over the world, and the most popular spots tend to be a little too loud and busy for painting. That's why I really like Yutenji Temple. It's a small neighborhood temple filled with cherry blossom trees, and it's downright gorgeous during Sakura season. It's very close to Meguro River, where most of the tourists gather, but over here, it's a quiet oasis where you can sketch while immersed in that zen atmosphere with hardly anyone to disturb your peace. I found this nice view of the pagoda and the main temple hall with a big sakura tree right in front of it. It's a quintessentially Japanese scene. I've been trying to do bigger sketches recently after getting inspired at the very amazing Sketchbook exhibit from Urban Sketchers Tokyo. So today I'm also doing a full panorama spread. For me, the most interesting parts of this scene, other than the sakura, are the curved roof of the hall and the unique shape of the pagoda. So I focus my composition on these two. Even though sakura is the main star of the season, I always like to include some architecture or features from the environment, so it makes for a more engaging and more lived-in scene in my sketchbook. For the pink of the sakura, I'm using Winsor & Newton's Permanent Rose, mixed with a little bit of cadmium yellow. This adds some warmth to the flowers and also some depth to the colors by creating these gradients where the pink and yellow mix together. This natural blending of colors is my favorite property of watercolor. For this area between the pagoda and the main hall, I actually made a mistake by leaving too much space between them, so I just added some sakura to cover it up. This is a simple trick I use a lot. If I make a mistake, or if there's a complex bit where I don't want to draw all the details, I just cover it up with some plants. Urban sketching is really just winging it most of the time. I left out a lot of the finer details, and only focused on painting the main shadow areas. This kind of creates an illusion of details, which helps me sketch looser and faster. I also decided to leave the pine tree uncolored, not only because I'm lazy, but also because I kind of like the negative space. If I were to color in the dark branches, I think it would distract from the main focal point of the sketch. Here is the finished piece. This really satisfied my craving for doing more traditional temple sketches, and I'm happy with how it turned out. Another spot I really like in this temple is the statue of a Jizo. It's a beloved Buddhist deity in Japan, known as the guardians of travelers and protector of children. As a frequent traveler myself, I always feel a little more at home when I spot one. It just has such a peaceful and calming effect, especially among the cherry blossoms swaying in the wind. So I decided to do a quick 20-minute sketch of the statue while I'm here. I wetted the paper first and painted a lot of soft, abstract shapes to represent flowers and leaves in the background. It creates this really pretty, blurred background effect while being super easy and fast. So it's one of my go-to tricks for speed sketching. For stone statues like this, I use a soft yellow for the highlights and blend it into a cool gray for the shadows. I kept the sakura in the foreground pretty loose as well, and added these falling petals to capture that magical, romantic feeling of dancing sakura in the wind. It's such an iconic anime scene from my favorite shows and movies growing up, so now that I actually live in Japan, I always feel a little bit nostalgic to see it in real life. Inside Yutenji Temple, there is a rotating handwritten quote that the monks put up every now and then. This is a classical poem from a Chinese poet, and it means, "Year upon year, the flowers are the same. Year upon year, the people are different. This got me a little bit emotional. Last year at this time, I was also blissfully sketching Sakura in Kyoto using these pretty pink colors. But I really had no idea that I would go on to quit my corporate job and become a full-time artist by the same time this year. It's been quite the transformational journey for me, and I'm excited about what's ahead. I hope that through my sketches, I can freeze these fleeting moments and feelings in time, capturing the flowers as they are and the person I'm becoming along the way. Number 2, Meguro River. A short walk away from Yutenji is Nakameguro, where you can see Meguro River lined with beautiful sakura trees all along the riverbanks. I have to say, this one may not be for everyone, because this is probably the single most crowded spot for cherry blossom viewing in Tokyo. But I mean, it's popular for a reason, and it is absolutely gorgeous, especially near nightfall when the lanterns cast this dreamy pink light onto the flowers. If you want to avoid the crowds, you can either go a bit earlier in the morning or head south as you reach the river from the station. Most of the tourists go north, where all the shops and restaurants are, so it's much quieter down here and just as beautiful. That said, if you don't mind the crowds as much, this is actually a great spot for people watching and figure sketching. There's even this massive terraced seating area that's perfect for sitting down to sketch. Tokyo usually doesn't have a lot of public seating, so this is a rare treat for my fellow urban sketchers. I've never been good at drawing people, so I use this as a chance to practice. Adding people to your urban sketches really makes it feel more alive and authentic. Now, the sun was setting pretty quickly, so I opted to sketch faster by not doing any of the line work, except for the people. I wasn't super happy with the pencil lines for the people, so I still ended up doing an ink outline. I often leave my figures uncolored, or coloring it simply with a monochromatic shadow. Not only because I'm a lazy speed sketcher, which I totally am, but also because it makes the scene look a bit cleaner, without random blobs of colorful clothing. Now that's a very personal opinion. I spent about 40 minutes on this super quick sketch, and I had a lot of fun practicing figure sketching and combining it with the scenery. Number 3, Kyu-Nakagawa River. This one is a little bit further out from the city center, so it's nice and quiet, even on a weekend with the flowers in full bloom. The wide river lined with sakura trees, paired with the iconic silhouette of Tokyo Skytree, makes it an undeniably beautiful and relaxing place to paint. It's a peaceful and nature-inspired alternative to the busy urban energy of Meguro River. I'm here sketching with some artist friends visiting from Bangkok and Beijing, who are in town to catch the sakura. It's always more fun to paint with friends and learn from each other. Qifeng is a master sketcher and one of the organizers of Urban Sketchers Beijing. We were all admiring his accordion sketchbook, which he's been painting over the past 3 days in Tokyo. He makes it look so effortless with these soft, simplified shapes, but the effect is simply stunning. I tried to do a full panorama spread again in my bigger sketchbook and practiced soft landscape painting without line work. But honestly, I think I bit off a little bit more than I could chew. I am quite happy with the clouds and my color choices, but I think overall it ended up looking a little flat and unpolished, and I could probably have used some stronger shadows, like what Qifeng does with his work that looks so simple but has these really precise dark shadows that brings out the contrast. I guess I'll just have to keep working on it. We did a quick throwdown, and it's really fascinating to see how everyone captured the same scene with their own unique style. After we finished the larger pieces, we sat around the picnic blanket, sharing desserts and swapping art with each other. I drew a quick portrait of my friend Sen in her super tiny journal, and in return, in my sketchbook, I received these beautiful drawings from Nisha, visiting from Bangkok, and Qifeng from Beijing. It's such a nice souvenir to remember our fun painting session together, and I just love how art brings people together from all over the world like this. Number 4, Inokashira Park. Speaking of art bringing people together, at this next spot, I met up with 2 friends of the channel. It is Emily and Didas from Spilled Ink, where I appeared in a guest episode earlier. We're here to film the next collab video for their channel while sketching together in the park. It was such a beautiful spring afternoon with a gentle breeze, flowers in full bloom, and that perfect soft light. Inokashira Park is famous for the large pond at its center, with cherry blossoms all around the waterfront. It's most well known for its iconic swan boats, and even though this was a weekday, the water was absolutely packed with a sea of swans as people enjoyed the peak of the season. I brought my picnic blanket out again, and we enjoy snacks while painting under sakura trees. One of my favorite tricks for urban sketching is mixing my mediums to create contrast. I often use ink to outline man-made objects, like the swan boat or the wooden fence, and houses when I'm sketching architecture, but I'll leave the natural features unlined and paint them with watercolor only, like with the trees and the water. I think the softer touch of pure watercolor feels more organic for painting nature, while the ink outline better captures the sharper, more structured silhouettes and smaller, finer details of the built environment. I also played with depth of field here by using wet on wet for the trees and riverbank in the background to keep them soft and hazy, while I added more well-defined shadows to things in the foreground. This focal trick helps guide the eye and creates a more realistic sense of depth on the flat paper. I also made sure to add colors from the environment into the pond to create some interesting color blends, like the yellow from the swan boat and the pink from the sakura. You can also interpret these as falling petals in the water too. It adds a lovely sense of motion to the sketch. I had a blast painting this one with great company, and I think that joy really translated into the finished piece. If you want to see Emily and Daida's paintings, and more of our behind-the-scenes fun, make sure to keep an eye out for their upcoming episode on Spilled Ink. Number 5. Ginza from the Rooftop. An honorable mention goes to this rooftop restaurant called Hadran, where I met up with a friend to enjoy a delicious meal while overlooking the iconic crosswalk in Ginza, complete with our very own personal sakura tree. We sat across from the historic Seiko building, which has been the landmark of Ginza for over 90 years, making it a perfect subject for urban sketching. I was feeling a bit ambitious, so I went for an ultra-wide angle to include my friend, her balcony table, and the entire streetscape. This was my first time attempting a bird's-eye perspective that is way more dramatic than what it actually looks like in person, and despite the challenge, I'm happy with this very loose line work. Because the composition is already pretty complex, I kept my colors light and simple, using the same shade of cool gray for most of the shadows, and having the buildings fade out toward the edges of the drawing. It's a great time-saving cop-out to simplify complex scenes like this and sketch faster. Another one of my go-to tricks is to use text to fill out the empty spaces in my sketch where I don't want to draw all the details. Go ahead, go ahead! I think this might be my favorite sketch of this season. The ambitious perspective paid off in the end, and it perfectly encapsulated my memory of a lazy afternoon with my friend, gazing out at the frenzy of Tokyo from our quiet, peaceful corner. Thank you for coming along on the spring art journey with me. I hope these tips will inspire you to pick up your own brush and document the small joys in your life. Quick note, I just launched pre-orders for my latest art book, Tokyo Hidden Gems. It's a hand-illustrated guide to my personal, off-the-beaten-path finds as a local artist living here. From quiet but beautiful parks to the unique shops and cute cafes that make the city so extra special. You can find the pre-order link in the description box below. Until next time, stay creative, and I'll see you in a future sketching adventure.